Hello. Today we're going to discuss about developing Africa the Jua Kali way. Let us focus on what we know about Africa. First, we know that most African countries have been independent for more than 40 years. And we also know that Africa has vast resources. Africa is twice the size of Russia, or bigger than Canada, the United States, and China put together. It is about 30 million square kilometers. How big is that? Africa has large arable land for agriculture, equatorial forests, and savanna vegetation. We are rich. And according to some estimates, Africa is home to 1.315 billion people. Generally, there is a good number of educated, qualified professionals and scientists. Africa learning institutions are able to produce some of the highest qualified professionals on earth. And Africa has a sizable number of African diasporas who live outside Africa, who serve in various key capacities in both developed and developing world. Therefore, also Africa has a vast amount of minerals and other resources. Yet Africa trails every other continent in development. How can this be reversed? To answer these questions, I have considered the following two more questions. One, could using Kenya's Jua Kali sector be able to develop to create a development roadmap for Africa? And what should the Kenyan government do to release the Jua Kali sector potential? Today we'll focus on a few facts about Jua Kali sector and how importation charges on the sector are holding back the Jua Kali sector and the economy. And in future we're going to consider other factors, but today we're just concentrating on those facts. What do you know about Jua Kali? We know that Jua Kali businesses refer to any business that is not registered in Kenya or the informal sector. We also know that the Jua Kali sector businesses are undertaken under permanent structures. They could be on semi-permanent structures. They could be on road reserves or unoccupied space. Okay, and according to the Kenyan government economic survey for 2019, we know that Jua Kali sector employs 83.1% of all employees in Kenya, which is about 14.9 million people of the total employee, which is 17.8 million employed in Kenya, right? The sector contributed 50% of GDP in 2016, which was 3%. And we know that 98% of the Jua Kali businesses are not registered. We have these facts. We finally know that Jua Kali businesses represent 95% of all the businesses in Kenya. Then our other question becomes, should the government pay more attention to Jua Kali sector than it currently is? And if so, where should the government start? First, let us see a few forms of Jua Kali businesses. It could be metal fabrication businesses. It could be clothing and apparel, also known as mitumba. We could also be looking at hawkers. And we also could be looking at mama mboga, the roadside mama mboga who sells grocery at the roadside, and kale and cabbages and all that. Any other business that is not registered, then it becomes Jua Kali. Currently, the Kenyan government is implementing the Big Four agenda. We know that the government is focusing on food security, affordable housing, increases in job for manufacturing sector, and affordable healthcare. And these are great. However, in my opinion, the only agenda on the Kenyan government should be the Jua Kali sector, because at least we'll capture 98% of the businesses and 14.9 million people. Here are some of the simple and easy ways that the government of Kenya can enable Jua Kali sector develop and grow, leading to massive jobs creation and providing the high growth rate to Kenyan economy. We will discuss two ways. First, let's remove all the import tariffs, the duties, the fees, and VAT on all imports immediately. Currently, the government charges importers as follows. They charge the importers custom duty of 25%. Next, excise duty of 20% is applied on top of custom and cost. Then finally, the VAT is also applied on top of cost, custom duty, and excise duty. IDF or import declaration fee of 2% is applied on cost. Railway development levy is applied at 1.5% on cost. All these have impacted Jua Kali sector and the Kenyan economy by increasing cost of doing business in Kenya by almost 50%. The point number 2 is we should remove tariffs on electricity on Jua Kali businesses and lower the cost of electricity by 45%. We'll cover this in a future series. By removing all the tariffs, what do you expect to be the impact to the Kenyan economy and the society? We know that if the government removes these punitive taxes on imports and electricity, the Jua Kali sector will grow by more than twice the rate it is growing today. We have put that money in the pockets of the investors or our Jua Kali businesses. It is our belief right now we have 14.9 million people. We would get 15 more million people working in the Jua Kali sector alone. That is making the total sector contribute about 30%. And we also know that the Kenyan growth rate is going to be doubled. And these are just assumptions. And we will get the Kenyan economy growing faster. As an example, let us look at Jua Kali tailor who wants to import a sewing machine. If the tailor chooses to buy online from Alibaba website, alibaba.com, the price of a single domestic sewing machine, which is also the most popular sewing machine in Kenya, is about $8,000 or $80. That is CIF, cost insurance and freight, to Mombasa. If tariffs are added, the cost comes to about $14,200, which is $142, or an increase of 77.5%. This also increases the cost of doing business in Kenya by the same margin, and compared to US and Canada, the rate is so high because it's about 25% for those other countries. The cost breakdown after the importation tariffs on the imported sewing machine is as follows. The import duty of 25% becomes $2,000 on cost. Then the excess duty becomes 25%, another $2,000 on cost plus the custom duty. Then VAT is applied at 16%, which becomes $1,920. IDF another $160, and railway development levy becomes another $120. In total, the sewing machine, which costed $8,000 to Mombasa, 77.5% is applied on it, and now it becomes $14,200, which is way too high compared to US and Canada, where goods imported from China is below 25%. How can a Kenyan business compete with the international businesses when they are being slapped with this 77.5% tax? Those import charges and VAT do not serve the country and our businesses. They have no value other than providing revenue to the government. Let's look at another example. Duty on cost of car, and in this case a Toyota Passo, which has an engine capacity of 1,000 cc's, total mileage is 29,000 kilometers or 18,000 miles. The total cost is about $3,800, and Kenya Revenue Authority assesses it is at $3,239 using their own calculations. If you apply the 77.5%, it becomes an addition of $2,500 with a grand total of $5,745. That is just the cost of that vehicle before it leaves Mombasa, and it is just a cost that is just applied by the government. So if we look at the import charges, when a government charges importation charges, the main purpose is to protect local industries. In our previous two examples, which is the sewing machine and a Toyota Passo, Kenya does not make any of them. So it doesn't make sense that we apply a tariff on goods that we do not even care about, and which, if we were allowed to bring in, they would boost our local economy. So we need to remove all these tariffs immediately to boost our Jua Kali sector. And in that case, the Jua Kali sector will be cheaper, will produce cheaper goods, and will employ more. This will bring our importation charges to what US and Canada charge, and it is less than 25% of the total cost. So if we look at the best practices on value-added tax, we know that the purpose of value-added tax is to levy a tax on value addition. In this case, the imported goods which came from China, made by a Chinese, they do not need to be charged VAT. It doesn't make sense. We can charge VAT for goods produced in Kenya, not goods that are coming from outside. So VAT on all imports should be eliminated. The government should charge at least 5% VAT to final consumer goods that are made in the Jua Kali sector, just similar to the way they are doing in the mobile telephony market. And this is after the economy stabilizes. Extra savings should be left to the businesses to invest and for the consumers to consume more. We have no idea why import declaration fee and railway levy are levied on imports. We have completely no idea. And what is it for? Take it away. The government should not use importation as a way to raise revenue. They should use the internal revenue service to just generate revenue internally. We know that in 2003, the government removed import charges on all electronic computers and mobile phones. And within 10 years, Kenya had become a world leader in mobile telephony, and it is leading in Africa in ICT. If we follow this example and remove all the imports charges, the cost of doing doing business in Kenya will go down by almost 50% for all the sectors. And now the sectors can be able now to get spin more jobs, and they can be able to produce more high quality products because they are able to import high quality products into the economy. So what does this mean? It means that the Jua Kali sector cost would go down by 50%, meaning we create more jobs, and we expect up to 15 million jobs or more to be created if we remove them. Better quality of imported goods and services, and our goods will be competitive in the commercial region and the international. Growth of Kenyan economy will be accelerated. We expect the growth rate to hit 15 to 20% range and be sustainable for a long time if we removed all these tariffs. And in conclusion, we know to develop Kenya, let the government remove all those tariffs. Okay? They don't make sense. There's no duty on cell phones and computers, and the Kenyan economy has taken off on that one, and we are among the world leaders. We can do that for Jua Kali. We know Kenya leads in the ICT field in Africa. This is because of taking away the duty. And Kenya does not make cars and singer sewing machines. Remove the tariffs. Okay, and finally, we know that the economy will be boosted. The government officials right now use tariffs and duties to frustrate Jua Kali businesses, which is a huge pipe for corruption at Kenya Ports Authority and the Kenya Revenue Authority in Mombasa. Finally, the cost of doing business in the Jua Kali sector could come down by 50%, leading to an expected Jua Kali growth rate, which we expect to double. We expect the Jua Kali to create massive jobs. We are hoping and estimating 15 million jobs in 10 years, and an economic growth rate of between 15 to 20% if we level the playing field. And for sure, the Kenya growth rate will be so high to catapult Kenyan economy to a developed world in less than 20 years. That is by 2040. In our next series, we're going to cover electricity, how the government should cut down the cost of electricity by 45% by eliminating, again, similar tariffs that are not making sense. Thank you.